for Albany.
On this episode of DCL Dorks, up with 3 things that we loved about the Disney treasure and 1 thing that we did not. So
we're doing the 3 things we love first.
You're gonna do one thing that you love, and then I'm gonna do one thing. We're gonna go back and forth because I don't want everybody just to stop listening because you are the only one talking.
Well, and I'm gonna have the best ideas.
Well, I'm. Hey everybody, we are back. DCL Dorks, we're right here, and we have a fun little game we're going to play today.
Yeah.
Brian went to the University of Illinois, so he likes me because my favorite color is orange. I think that's really pretty much about it. But they have the halftime show is the Incomparable Three-and-One.
Basically, there's 3 movements within the one halftime show is where it comes from.
Yeah, it's fancy, right? So I'm calling this our Incomparable Three-and-One. Because I'm lame. We each came up with 3 things that we loved about the Disney treasure and 1 thing that we did not. You're going to do one thing that you love, and then I'm going to do one thing. We're going to go back and forth. Because I don't want everybody just to stop listening because you are the only one talking.
Well, and I'm going to have the best ideas. So number 1 on my list on the Disney treasure, the restaurant with that's revolving around the movie Coco.
Yes.
I'm sure you're familiar with the movie. But the idea as the restaurant is that, especially since the treasure is a 7-night cruise, you're always going to have at least 2 nights in that dining room with the rotational dining. All the guests have at least 2 nights in Coco, so they have 2 different shows. There's a stage then in the center of the restaurant. They had a mariachi, a 3-person mariachi band, and then they have a 4th artist playing the part of Abuela. So basically you have 4 musicians that play some of the songs from the movie. The music is very vibrant and very, lively, and and then also just the theming of the restaurant. The restaurant, like you're outside of one of that outdoor plaza, like they have in the movie where they're going to have the music competition. And then the menus are all geared around basically Mexican cuisine. It's very different than a lot of other restaurants on the Disney ships because I don't think there's any other really Mexican themed restaurants in any of the other ships. So you get to see, you can have the moles, you can have the black bean soups, you can have, tamales are served sometimes. So it's just a little different menu, and I really enjoyed it. The second show then is there's people dressed up in some great makeup that kind of make them look like skeletons. The 3-person mariachi band is there again. You've got 2 folks playing his great-grandparents that kind of are dressed kind of like skeletons, and they sing along as well. And again, themed, a completely different menu, but a themed kind of Mexican type of menu. So that's my number 1.
Your number 1. By the way, if you're not hanging out with us on social media, you're missing out. There we post extra cruise tips and behind-the-scenes fun. Just search for DCL Dorks on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Come say hi. My number 1 was I learned the very first night we were there, when we were at Enchanté, they have an outstanding 0-proof cocktail menu.
Everywhere on the ship.
Everywhere on the ship.
Yeah.
And so when we did Enchanté, and we'll talk about Enchanté in totally another episode, but you can do a wine pairing, you can do a champagne pairing, and you can do a 0-proof cocktail pairing. They use Lyres, Lyres, an unspirited spirit, I guess I'll call it. So they have that throughout the ship, and they don't really tout it too much, but because I learned about it at Enchanté that first night, then later on when we were in the Scat Cat Lounge, I ordered a Parisian, which is a 0-proof drink. It was time for my second drink. He asked what I wanted. And I said, well, do you have other 0-proof? And he goes, yeah. And he handed me a whole menu of non-alcoholic beverages. And some were mocktails. They were supposed to taste like true cocktails. And some were just drinks with different ingredients in it. It was really great to see that on the ship, because especially if people like to go to the Scat Cat Lounge or Haunted Mansion Parlor or any of those places, you kind of want to be in that environment, but you don't want to have alcohol or you just don't drink. So there were a lot of non-alcoholic options available that were elevated from soda and iced tea. And I was really excited.
And Enchanté, we did the course that, and we get into that, but we did kind of the chef's course, I guess.
Yeah.
So you didn't know what you were getting. It was just whatever was fresh that day. And they tried to pair the drinks with it. And so I did the wine pairing. Next time I would definitely probably do the 0 proof pairing, because you get a little different, drink with each one. And it's at a little lesser price point.
There was a smoked old fashioned.
Right,
and so they brought it out in the box. There was not like a wine simulated kind of drink. So there were a variety of drinks, and we'll cover we're covering course by course in Enchanté, because it goes course by course. Anyway, sorry. So that would be my number one takeaway is that I could have elevated drinking experiences without having to consume alcohol.
All right, my number 2, I guess, plus for the Disney Treasure and probably just the Wish class of ships, is having the 2 digital movie theaters. Now, the theaters are much smaller. They probably only seat 40 people, maybe, whereas the theaters on the other classes seat probably close to 150 people. But it's only the one movie then throughout the course of your cruise.
Well, it's only one movie at a time.
One movie at a time, but you only have one choice at a time. But when you have 2 theaters, they can be both playing different movies simultaneously, so you have options. Now on the Wish, it was tough because those were just like 3-day cruise, 3 or 4 day cruises that I think people are trying to do everything. So like when there's a movie, they all rush to the theater. And the problem I had on the Wish is like I went to go see a movie and it was packed and I couldn't find a seat. But on this 7-day cruise, there's so many other things for people to do that throughout the day, people are doing a lot of the other activities that the theaters typically were not overly crowded. The idea is you basically double the ability of, like they're showing probably the same number of movies, say 8 to 10, kind of a rotation throughout, but you have double the chance of seeing a movie because you have 2 theaters to choose from. Seemed even better than the other class of ships.
Yeah.
That they have these great, like almost like carved in wooden panels out in front of the theaters. One of like showing Big Ben and kind of the London skyline, dealing with the Peter Pan Theater. And then the other one for Alice in Wonderland, you've got Cheshire Cat on there. And then inside the theater, you've got the Cheshire Cat kind of lit up along the sides of the theater. Handrails are shaped like a heart or a spade, like, and the backs of the chairs have like suits of cards on them. And then in the Peter Pan Theater, you've got Tinkerbell as the like wall sconces, and there's the handrails, the end of them looks like the ends of a sword, like the handle of a sword, so they've got all those little touches in there.
We each saw 2 movies. We saw Lilo and Stitch together, and then you saw Fantastic Four, and I saw Freakier Friday. Oh my gosh, did you get that? We saw Lilo and Stitch, and then we had this whole alliteration with Fantastic Four and Freakier Friday.
That's great. All right, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is the Uncharted Adventure. For those of you that have sailed the Dream class, you're familiar with the Midship Detective Agency, and the Wish class has
that's super fun.
Super fun. You take this, you get a card, and then you kind of go from artwork to artwork, and you play this game. Disney being Disney, they took it to a whole different level when it came to the Wish class. It's called the Uncharted Adventure, and it's all done through the Disney Navigator app.
And it might be hard to find because some people, we were doing it later on the cruise, and they asked what we were doing, and then where do you find it? So it's basically on the home screen of the app.
You pick a quest, and there's like 4 different quests. So I picked, we'll say Nemo. So there's a Nemo quest, and it says, all right, well, go to this piece of artwork on deck 5. And so then you go to deck 5, and either the piece of artwork turns into the game, or it's
a digital screen, which sometimes you don't realize sometimes that it's a digital screen showing this piece of art, and it's static normally.
Yeah.
But until you start playing the game, then all of a sudden the screen changes and you can play the game.
Or you're using your phone, and that is the backdrop, and the game is on your phone. So there's 2 different kind of ways to play with it. And I thought it was really great. Now, I will say that we did have some trouble with the Peter Pan quest, and one of the pieces of artwork wasn't really working, so that kind of stalled on some of the quests.
Yeah.
But here's what I love about it. You get to go to parts of the ship that you may not have had a reason to go to before. Next time we go, I would do that on like the first sea day. That helps you get to know the ship. You're going, past vibe. We had things that we had parts of our quest that took us to the Aqua Mouse. They took us to the cinema. They took us all over. And so we did it on the last sea day. And I think next time I would do it on the first sea day.
Mm-hmm. All right. Number 3
is your last one
on my list for the,
loves.
What I love about the Disney Treasure is the Hook's Barbery speakeasy. Now, I talked on a previous podcast about my experience in the Hook's Barbery and getting some of the services there. But there's also the speakeasy. So there's a panel cabinet next to some, about 4 leather recliners or leather chairs. And every day from 4 to 8 p.m., the doors of the cabinet open and there's a bartender there, and there's all these high-end whiskeys, bourbons, scotches, and everything right there behind the case. And you can get drinks there, and you can either sit there and enjoy the drink, you can get it to go, and you don't have to be having a service within the Hook's Barbery to enjoy the drinks. It's just for anybody that, passing by.
Can you sit at the bar or in the leather chairs, or how does that work?
So they've got 4 leather chairs with some, little side tables you can sit on. That's kind of the more preferred side when you're near because that's where the bartender basically just stands there in front of the cabinet. In essence, I believe you could seat, 9 folks in there. It's a little different than some of the other ships. It's a more intimate space. You can get to know people a lot easier in there, and make friends on the ship because it's a lot quieter. You don't have a band playing in the background. You don't have other conversations. People coming in and out. So it's much easier to carry on conversations, and you have a more intimate experience with the bartender. So if you get a great bartender that's basically the most experienced bartender, certainly the most experienced whiskey type bartender in that bar.
Which is different because on the other ships that we'd been on, those more experienced whiskey tastings occurred at Cove Cafe.
Right. On this ship, I'd say between this and the Rose would be kind of considered.
The Rose.
But also with this, since you have the bartender that's more of a whiskey aficionado, he's also going to have, they've got the smoker gun in there. He's got the syrups that he's, probably prepared himself. He had the large square ice cubes, whereas none of the other bars on the ship had large square ice cubes for any of the old fashions. But he did, because I believe he made them specifically for his guests that were in there.
Well, my last one on the list, and we're going to do a whole podcast on it, but my last one on the list is the Haunted Mansion Parlor.
All right. Yes.
So
that could have been on my list.
I know. That's why I wrote a couple extra ones just because Coco
case.
was on my list.
Okay.
And I was thinking, all right. So I pivoted to the Haunted Mansion Parlor. This is it's a spin-off, a smaller reimagination of the Haunted Mansion, but at sea. There's some great things about it. Not just that it's a bar, because it is, but they allow kids to go in there during certain hours so that the whole family can experience it. It is totally themed from tip to tail with black lights and interactive artwork. And so I really thunder,
lightning.
There's shows in the mirrors, and you can touch everything. Like when you go to Tower of Terror, right? And you walk in at Tower of Terror, and they've got all these things around in the area where it's the old hotel, but it's all kind of roped off, right? Well, you get to touch all this stuff, and they had the Donald Duck chair there. So it was really a unique experience.
It sets the Treasure apart from all the other shit. That's the one thing I would say sets the Treasure apart.
Now it's time for the not so magical moment.
So the not so magical moment, I specifically talk about Skipper Society, which is kind of probably the main bar on the ship, because it's open the longest. It's in the the mid of the ship, deck 3, kind of in the action.
It's the bayou on the Wish class on the Wish.
Exactly, right. And it's open for the kind of the promenades on both sides on deck 3. It's got kind of lower ceilings, which is good and bad. Lower ceilings that kind of gives it a little more intimate feel, but it also kind of cuts sight lines. There's a lot of like columns in there.
Well, because there's a stage, and then on the side of each of the stage, they have a video board. And then there's seating in front of those video boards. And then there's kind of...
but every seat does not have a clear view of the stage. And a lot of the live entertainment, like if they have a band or, that plays like blues or, rock.
The mariachi played that one night.
Mariachi played one night there. And there's really not a lot of seating in there. And the seating that is in there is not very comfortable. They're themed around kind of almost like safari type chairs or low slung chairs.
Right.
Like
it's themed off the Jungle Cruise.
I get that.
There are two really nice, comfortable booths that are back there. But if you sit in those booths, then you can't you can't participate in the trivia really because you can't see. And
it's kind of like the D Lounge.
Yeah, they would do but like a third of the size.
Yes, and so they would do like the family like craft projects would be in there, family trivia. Like I said, the band. So they utilize the space a lot, but it's not big enough because anytime we went by there and something was happening there, it was usually jam packed where people were having to stand in the promenade hallways to still participate because they wanted to be there, but there was really no seating for them.
My not so magical moment, I think, has to do with the sheer amount of people that are on board. I did not feel like the dream class had this problem.
The way that they've kind of separated out kind of the family areas and the
district and the adult areas in there's plenty of seating and there's plenty of room for everyone to kind of play trivia and do things. But here, it just seemed like whenever you would go to anything, if you didn't get there early, then you weren't going to get a seat. And with the character interactions, we would go on the magic class or even on the definitely on the magic class. Like Donald would be on deck 4 in the atrium, and then Daisy for 15 minutes, and then Daisy would be down here 15 minutes after that, and you could hit all of them, and you could see about 6 or 8 characters in an hour. Well, with so many people, they had character interactions, but there just were so many people in line that was pretty much, you were going to be in that line for an hour. And that is a definite disconnect from our previous cruising experience.
Now, do you think it has something to do with that this class of ship appeals more to families?
So that they're bringing more people?
There's more people, kids and more people that are wanting to get those character interactions. Whereas when we're on, say, the Dream or even the Magic type ships, there's maybe more adults and maybe they're not wanting to stand in those lines.
So, well, I think there's two things. There's one is, the Magic class holds a half as many people. So that's one thing. That's just going to be a sheer numbers thing. But I think where the way that the spaces were set up, before you could just like roll into O'Gill's and do a trivia or roll into the D Lounge to learn to do napkin folding. But this time it was, it was just it was overstuffed. That was my unmagical moment. The good news is that it's not going to keep us from sailing. Either one of these things are not keeping us from going to continue to sail.
Well, I think it just, we were able to figure out that if we did the treasure again, we know kind of where the places want to go. So this being our first time on it, we wanted to make sure we experienced as much as we could. And we were maybe kind of running about and trying to do everything. Now I know like what areas I really prefer myself.
Yeah, there's a lot to love on the Disney Treasure, but there are some things that were realists that we just didn't like as much. And we'd like to hear what you guys would like to, what you guys thought about your cruising experience, whether it was the Disney Treasure or the Disney Wish or the upcoming Disney Destiny, which we don't have any additional plans to sail because we have jobs that make us only give us a certain amount of vacation. But that's kind of, but we wanted to just touch on some high points and get you some quick tips on some of the favorite things that we had to experience, because we did have a really great time, just the two of us, on our 7-day Disney treasure sailing. So make sure that you subscribe to our podcast. Also check it out on YouTube, and we are on Instagram and Facebook as well. But to stay involved with what's going on with us and get to know us better, and we can get to know you better. So we'll see you soon. Happy sailing.
See you.
You've been listening to the DCL Dorks podcast, your hub for Disney cruise tips, tricks, hacks, and crafts. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and we'll see you back here for more magic at sea.